Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sat means truth, logos means the study of science, Sattology means the science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means science of fake lie imagination or study of fake lie imagination. So don't use mythology for Ramayana and Mahabharata. So today we have very special topic and a person who has done a lot of research on this. Everybody knows that also. So Bhakti, and I'm going to connect the word yoga. So now, why Bhakti is a bad word in today used by the politicians? Like, I won't take the name, but you all know who uses in India. And Americans don't even understand. For them, Bhakti Yoga is a great word because of ISKCON and also other organizations. So I have a very special guest. He's an author and also he has done a lot of research and he runs Gurukuls and is working on education system, changing the education system in India. Without delay, let's welcome Shri Chanchal Malviya.
Namaste.
Namaskar, Chanchalji. Chanchalji, so opening question is itself very difficult right now. Bhakta is glorified, like the Narad, the Bhakta, Prahlad Bhakta, Bhakta Prahlad, glorified, Dhruv glorified, Yudhishthir glorified. But in today, the uneducated politicians, they make a glorified word in Vedas into an abuse. What do you have to say on that?
Yes, Aditya, it is because of this attempting to devalue these kind of great words that our culture has invented. I was very keen to talk on this topic today. I think not only Bhakti or Bhakt, from past nearly 100 years, there had been attempts to devalue such words which are the very constituent element of our culture, which always used to guide each and every person in their day-to-day life, shaping their thoughts, guiding their speech and behaviors. Now many of those words have lost their meanings and essence the way it used to be in our culture. For example, we can consider the word Dharma, which is very commonly now known that Dharma is now equated to religion. However, Dharma, as you know, is a very wide topic. Maybe we'll talk on it some other day. I have compiled a book also, Dharma Unfolded. But unfortunately, because of some errors in past, today, whoever talks on Dharma, whoever uses this word Dharma, whether he is a Vedic literate, a Sanskrit literate, or a common man or a politician or whoever he is, they immediately say we respect all Dharma. By that they mean we respect all religion. Then they say all Dharma teaches peace. Again they mean all religions. If that is so, why is there so much terror in this world? If every religion is Dharma and Dharma teaches peace, then why is there so much terror? What is being said and what is there on ground are not matching, and hence we have to understand that Dharma is a completely different sense, different word, different meaning, different applications, completely different world than religion. But we lost that essence. Similarly, there was an attempt on a word brahmacharya. It is now made completely people make fun of each other, particularly during youth days. Sab tu brahmacharya hai kya? No, this is brahmacharya was a science of creating strength in both mind and body in students and even adults. but somehow it was experimented and it lost its essence. Similarly, you must have been hearing nowadays in the past few years, you must be hearing in televisions by the journalist Sanskari Babu, again trying to make fun of this great word sanskar. It is a completely different, sanskar is a completely different science of creating individuals, societies. Sola sanskar are there. But the attempt is to devalue all these words which constitute the very essence of culture, thoughts, and behaviors of people who were always known as Bharatiya. And similarly, this word Bhakt has been now being attempted to be devalued. I don't think it is the work of politicians alone. Politicians have participated in doing this. It is again the work of same people, the same academia, the left-minded people, or who probably used social media as a platform to attempt to devalue this. Fortunately, they are calling all the nationalists who voted for Modi or who voted for BJP with the idea that they are voting for a Hindu nation, a nation which will respect and protect its own culture. So they all were termed as Bhakt, and they started talking in a way that we should disown this word, like we disowned Dharma, like we disowned Brahmacharya, like we disowned Sanskar. Similarly, we Hindus should, or the generation next, should disown this word Bhakt. The moment you say you are a Bhakt, you will feel very disgraceful. This is what the idea is on floating this word Bhakt to all those people who are nationalist in their mindset. This is what I think, Aditya. And we will, in this session, try to understand or elaborate what is Bhakt and Bhakti.
Yeah. And we'll take the second word in a separate way. Like when we say bhakta, if you go by the Sanskrit, it comes from bhaja. Bhaja means generally used for seva. Bhajan word comes in, bhajan is seva of Bhagwan. And then like this, bhaj, dhatu, bhakta also comes there. Now, another word is coming from yuj dhatu, which is yukta, yoga, yajan. A lot of these words come here, which means reconnecting. And generally in English is incomplete language. This is what we can say. But yoga can be much deeper meaning also. So when you add the two words today together, bhakti and yoga, then bhaja and yuja, seva and reconnecting, seva to reconnect. Like that's the general parlance comes in. Then what is the connotation now? Because bhakta has become a bad word, like one who does seva to others. Only a foolish man will say that a sincere person is a bad word. So when you combine the two words together, then the meaning comes in that reconnecting through seva, in English we say, or reconnecting through bhaja. So what do you have to say on that, Bhakti Yoga?
Aditya, we cannot understand these words with the help of English. First of all, we must make it clear. While going through this idea of Bhakt and Bhakti, we will see there are so many words in our technically in these concepts, which if we go by English, we will never be able to understand it the way it is. Now, the very when we say Bhakta, you talked about Bhakti Yoga, Yaj and Bhaj, two dhatus you mentioned about, and Gita, fortunately, Bhagavad-Gita, which is commonly available throughout the world and which everyone can refer to, and preferably they should refer, either Gita Press or Chinmay Missions or some kind of very technically profoundly written Bhagavad-Gita, not written from, so that kind of Gita they should refer if they have. And in that, the 12th chapter, the very first question that Arjun asks is about bhakti, and he ends up in telling that it is yoga. Ye bhakta. He says evam satat yukta ye bhakta, and then he ends the sentence Tesham ke Yog Vittama. Now again, he's asking basically the moment why he's asked this question about ye bhakta yog vittama. In between, he's asking ki this bhakti is of two types. One is for sakar, for the and another for nirakar, for formless and the form. These two aspects of, we can say God, is not mentioning God over here, but these two aspects in which people are devoted to. Again, bhakti is not devotion. We will see that bhakti is not just devotion. Bhakti is much far deeper word than the simple word devotion can create a perception about. So he's asking, because the moment you say bhakti, these two things should come to our mind. It must come to be. It came to the mind of Arjun, which means technically people used to see bhakti in two formats, either for sakar or for nirakar. And he's asking, which is uttam, which is yoga vittama, which of these two yoga? Sakar is also yoga. So he is very clearly mentioning that bhakti is a state of yoga. It is very clearly, Arjun is very clear about this. When Arjun is clear, it means common people then were clear about this. When bhakti is yoga, then which of these two yoga is uttam? Again, uttam doesn't mean superior. Uttam doesn't mean best. Uttam is something like, in English we can say, very nice. I cannot find an exact word in English to say what is uttam. But Arjun is asking this, which means when we say bhakti, our mind should immediately capture these three things: yog, sakar, and nirakar. If it is not capturing, it means we have understood bhakti from some other language support, like English, and we are seeing bhakti as devotion. Devotion word doesn't take us into these two directions. Devotion word doesn't take us into the idea of being one with the concept of this bhakti and all. So this is what I think ki bhakti word we will see in Bhagavad-Gita chapter 12. We will quickly go through, because in such short span of time we cannot go through it line by line. But the way Krishna replies to Arjun, because Arjun asks simply one question, that which is superior, which is uttam, sakar or nirakar. Again, the whole world is, this chapter is very important, because this whole idea of religion and dharma is about war between understanding of God on sakar and nirakar. There is a religion which says we cannot make idols and we cannot symbolize or conceptualize the concept of God and all these things, and they start doing all kind of terror activities to stop this. There are Vedic people also who says you cannot do that. You should not do that because Vedas don't permit that. It is not so. Vedas have never opposed that. Vedas have never said that what is uttam and what is adham in these concepts. Vedas have not clearly clarified on those things. However, there is a tussle between these two ideas, and Gita's 12th chapter clarifies on this. And the one Krishna very clearly answers to Arjun that the concept of going on the path of realizing formless God, that is Bhakti Yoga, on Nirakar path, formless God, is good, but it is a very difficult path. And he says why it is difficult: because there is abhiman in us, there is ahankar in us, there is ego in us, there is arrogance in us, which will not allow to see the formless, we ourselves being in form. So it is a very difficult path. He clarifies, and then he says the idea of sakar is comparatively an easier path and equally dear to me. Both the ways lead to God only, and this sakar or nirakar, attempting to go on either of the path to realize the self and God, both are equally dear to me. This was clarified, and then he further goes and elaborates on the purpose of bhakt. or bhakti. The purpose of bhakti is same. When we say realization, the purpose is liberation. Now, these ideas of liberation is not there in any religion. Liberation brings the idea of life after death, cycles of rebirth, which is not accepted by the concept of religion. And if we go logically, we'll not elaborate in this thing, but if we go logically and scientifically on the concept of cause and effect, whatever we do, we think, we speak is a form of cause which is going to create an effect. And if there is no life after death, there will be many causes which will be deprived from its effect. And the science of principles of cause and effect will be broken. So logically, this cause and effect will take us into the idea of birth and rebirth. And it has to be scientifically understood or realized over a period of thousands of years, which our rishis did, and they presented this concept as Shastra to us. So other religions will not understand the very purpose of life. If we are born as human, what is the purpose of this life? And here our Shastra helps us to understand that it is liberation. This is an opportunity. We all are going to die one day. We are all going to leave this world. There is no doubt. So we have a very limited span of time in which we have to do certain things. What are those things? And why we should do those things? If we don't think and answer these questions properly, we will mess up this world which has happened today, which was not earlier there when Bharat was the golden bird, which has happened today because we are not even thinking about this question. And hence, the goal of bhakti is again about answering this question. He says that in shlok number 7 of chapter 12, samudharta, uddhar karne wala. Again, I struggle for a word which in English which can say, what is the meaning of uddhar. But we can say liberation is somewhat very close to it. So the purpose of bhakti is uddhar, liberation. This is the purpose. And bhakti yoga means you are becoming one with the creator or the whole of which you are a part. That is where bhakti is also leading to. That is bhakti yoga. And after that, there is elaboration. We will discuss that. But this is the idea of bhakti in Bhagavad-Gita and nearly all our Shastra. Yes, Aditya.
So one of the things which you mentioned just now is about the Bhakti Yoga from Gita 12th chapter, which is also Bhakti Yoga chapter.
Right.
One problem comes in where people say that Bhagavad-Gita doesn't emphasize on Bhakti Yoga. What do you have to answer? How do you answer that question?
No, again, I said bhakti has to be understood. We'll go ahead in this chapter. If to understand what is bhakti first. Bhakti doesn't mean you keep singing and do bhajan. That is only one aspect of it. Immediately after that, Bhagavan Krishna, he elaborates what is the different formats of bhakti. And he has given 4 different formats. One is dhyan. Dhyan is also a form of bhakti. Another is abhyas, practice. It is also a form of bhakti. And then is karma. Karma, nishkam karma. That is also a form of bhakti. And then 4th is tyag of all the fruits of your actions. So he has given 4 different formats of bhakti very clearly. So we have to first understand bhakti doesn't mean only bhajan and kirtan, or bhajan and kirtan is abhyas. Now, if you see shlok number 12.12, he says very clearly that jnana is superior or better than abhyas, not superior, better than abhyas. Dhyan is better than jnana, but tyag of all the karma phal is even better than dhyan. So he has given a hierarchy also, an order also about different kinds of bhakti and which has to be achieved at the end. Now, if the problem is if we don't understand these words, abhyas in English, it will mean practice. But practice, what does it technically mean? In our shastra is that there are two types of indriya, karma indriya and gyan indriya. Again, gyan is not knowledge. We say sense organs, that is gyan indriya, but gyan is not sense. No? So gyan itself has to be understood. 13th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita elaborates on the idea of gyan. Gyan itself has to be understood in a different format first. No? But however, for simplicity, let's say gyan yog is about attaining the truth, the whole knowledge. So, and what is abhyas? It says practice. But what is practice? Practice is about training the karmendriya, work organs. So, as directed, or as training our mind through practicing with our work organs. So basically, abhyas has three aspects in it: shamah, damah, and abhyas. Shamah means trying to train the mind. Damah means trying to train the our sense organs. But how do we do? By practicing through our work organs. Now this is abhyas. Abhyas means your mind, your intellect, your knowledge is not drenched in bhakti, but you are practicing such things through which your mind is trained to get tuned with bhakti. So abhyas, he says, you can do, but if you can do abhyas, then you can do karma. If you are not able to do karma yoga also, then you simply renounce everything. You simply say that it is all for God, and you get detached from the fruits of your actions and just do what you are set to do. That is the easiest way to do or attain the go on the path of bhakti. So he's given a format, he has given a structure, and based on that he has elaborated different characteristics of bhakti. What I have noted down from Bhagavad-Gita chapter 12, slok 13 to 20, not 20 is the concluding statement, to 19. He has mentioned about 32 different characteristics of a person who can be called a bhakt, and we will list that, and we will go through on few of those topics. In fact, if you go through the Navdha Bhakti of Tulsi Ramayana, there also Tulsi Das ji has selectively mentioned these characteristics of a Bhaktvali, which has been mentioned in Gita in a very elaborative way. So I have noted down 32 different points. In fact, like one is Sarva Bhutanam Adveshta, means you should not be jealous with any kind of creature, whether a human or animal or bird or whatever. Sarva Bhutanam Adveshta. Maitra, you should be friendly towards all. Karuna, you should have compassion for all. Nirmama, you should not be very possessive. Nirankara, you should be ego-free. Sam dukha sukha, you should be same in pain and pleasure both. Kshami, you should be forgiving. Santushta, you should be ever satisfied. So there is a list of 32 different characteristics of a bhakt. So when one say that you are a bhakt, and if you say no, I am not a bhakt, which means you are disowning these characteristics. And in the same chapter, the last slok number 20, Bhagavan Krishna says these qualities are dharmamritam. These are the amrit part of dharma, the most important aspect of dharma. Now we have forgotten the idea of dharma. We say it is religion, so we will not be able to connect what is the amrit part of religion and all. Most of the people, almost all people are not literate on our shastra or idea of dharma. So they will not be able to connect what is written in how it is concluded in slok number 20 and how it is elaborated in from slok number 13 to 19. What are these qualities? Now these qualities which are mentioned between slok 13 to 19 are part of those four structural aspects: dhyan, abhyas, karma, and tyag. For example, we can say what is nirmama. Nirmama means I'm not owning anything, no material, no possessiveness. What will be it? It will be a part of Tyaga, Nirankara, free from ego. It is a part of my dhyan. If my dhyan is, dhyan is not again just meditation or concentration. Meditation and concentration both are part of dhyan. Even in practice, you need some dhyan. So, if my dhyan is not intact, if my mind is not stable, I cannot get ego free. That particular aspect is so thin that it will always be broken. So similarly, if we go through all the qualities that is mentioned, those qualities is what the world requires, was what the education system is struggling to develop in human beings, what human resource HRD department or human resource departments in all the companies are struggling to see in people, in their resources. So these are the qualities which are very essential quality for people to survive on this earth as human beings and allow everything to work in ecosystem. And if we say we are not Bhakt, we are disowning these qualities, and then we'll struggle to find how to develop these qualities, Aditya.
So, what is the politician's objective in calling Bhakta as a bad name? What are they achieving by that?
No, they are simply trying to please the minorities, so that they are trying to prove that we are not with the Hindus or the majority. We are with you. So vote us. They are Bhakt. I'm not a Bhakt.
And a lot of adjectives have been planned up. Andhabhakt and
Andhabhakt.
Andhashraddha.
I will tell you, technically these are very wrong words. These cannot exist technically in Sanskrit, because when you say Shraddha, Andhashraddha, you must have word Andhashraddha, Nirmulan Samiti, and all these organizations of left have come up. These are technically very unacceptable words in Sanskrit, because Shraddha is Shraddhavan Labte Jnana. The very purpose or goal of Shraddha is to bring clarity in your mind, to bring knowledge in your mind, to bring truth in your mind. That is the very purpose or essence of Shraddha. So Shraddha cannot be Andha. Andhashraddha this word itself will not accept. Similarly, Andhabhakt, this word doesn't exist in Sanskrit. Otherwise, we would have found many such words in our Shastra had it been technically right. Bhakta, when it becomes Bhakti, as I told you in the very first sentence, Arjun clears, brings his perception, that Bhakti is yoga and nothing else. Bhakti is yoga. When we say yoga, it means you are united, you are one with the whole truth. So there cannot be andh after that. When you say truth, you are enlightened. There is no darkness. There is no ignorance. And hence, andhabhakt, this word itself cannot exist.
Yes, Aditya. So there is a Andhabhakta, then there is a Godi Bhakta, and then I do not understand what these meanings are. What are these meanings? I was searching on the Bhakta term, the common terms. So Godi Bhakta, Andhabhakta became very common, and these words are used on the Twitter handle against many people.
I think, Aditya, they are making fun of the whole Hindu community, that you people don't know anything about yourself or your Shastra or your culture. So they can add any kind of adjectives, they can say any kind of word. They are simply making fun of
it. And some of these people, they tend to be, some of them are Hindu leaders. Not, they are Hindu leaders. They have Hindu names and they are Hindu. It's difficult to call them a Hindu leader, but they have Hindu names actually. So when you see them using it in political space, so doesn't it affect the entire Bhagavad-Gita then? Minimizing the impact of Bhagavad-Gita. And they're supposed to be Hindu names, with Hindu names.
They don't know the very meaning of their own name. Hindu names we can play a very I generally, whenever I take some kind of training, or we spend some time in groups, we play a very common game. And Aditya, you can do that with your Hindu friends, and you can demonstrate to the world very easily this thing. Suppose five Hindu people are sitting together. Somebody's name will be Aditya, another, let's say my name is very odd, Chanchal, but let's say some other name is Anup, and the fourth name is Omkar. Some kind of these group of people are sitting. Now, if we can simply list down these four words, four names, and we start writing their meanings and connecting these names. So what can be an outcome? Now, Aditya is prakash of sun, which means if you light. Chanchal is restlessness. Now, Anup is uniqueness, and Omkar means the whole from which the whole creation has done, the totality of the knowledge. So now we can say, if you want to be unique, and if you want to attain this whole knowledge, you need to become enlightened through Aditya. And for that, you must stop being restlessness. You must not be Chanchal. The four people sitting together can, and a concept of human development evolves just out of our names. So these people who are disowning their own name, when they are talking all these kind of rubbish things, they don't know that what they are disowning. You see, Aditya?
Exactly. Yes. See, the problem comes in when these so-called Hindu name leaders, I will not say Hindu leaders, Hindu named leaders, they use these words just to bring home a point that Modi Bhakta, that these are the Modi Bhakta. And generally, I always tell people, and I'm not against it's natural for a good leader to be accepted, and it's natural. But the connotation of that word is a negativity, where Bhakti is a very positive word. Bhakta means it's for Bhagavan and yoga. But when you connect it to the Manushya, it has a totally different meaning now. It's more political and creating division and then ridiculing some people. But why play politics on these sacred Hindu words and terms? That's my question. So
To
why?
defeat, it's very clear, to defeat Hinduism. The attempt is going on from 1,000 years. They haven't succeeded yet. And hence, in a way, they have succeeded because most of us are disconnected with our core ideas of these constituent words. If we say Maya, immediately, people understand that it means illusion. That is how our mind have been trained now. We don't know that it is a creational word. It is a very technical and scientific word. So many words which we have lost its meanings, its realization, its applications in society. And there are few words which are still, uniting us in a way, not the way other religions are united with the goal to convert or to goal to finish this world. But we are uniting for the goal of peace. And one of those words is bhakti. One format of those bhakti is now used by ISKCON. Bhakti, as I told, there are 4 different formats mentioned in Gita. One of the format is being used by ISKCON, successfully used by ISKCON, and probably they are seeing that people in our country still have the mindset of bhakti. They still get attached to or devoted to people, to concepts, wherever they think there is peace, there is love, there is prosperity. The people, the very nature of our Hindu dharmic people is to get aligned to such people, and they don't want that. They want them to break, and hence there is probably the planning is much deeper than what we see at the surface level of politicians or media people speaking on different media. The goal is same, to defeat Hinduism, nothing else.
Now coming back to Bhakti Yoga, and then in the last one of the shlokas in ninth chapter, Manmana Mad Mad Bhakto, Madhyaji Mam Namaskaru. He says, Mad Bhakto, become my Bhakt. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita. And Hanumanji glorifies that in Mahabharata when he talks to Bhim. He says that I am a Bhakt of Sri Ram. He says it openly and he says very proudly. And so the role models, like people follow either Sri Ram, either follow, and when I say role models are Arjun in the case of Mahabharata, and the role model is Yudhishthir also in Mahabharata, and the role model is Hanumanji in Ramayana. Now they are very proudly calling themselves Bhakt of Sri. Hanumanji is calling Sri Ram, and actually in Mahabharata he says that Ram has come as Krishna again. So I'm Bhakt of Krishna also. Hanumanji says that. So now these are the role models being proud of the word Bhakt. And but in today's parlance, and also if you look at Bhagwan Shabd, again Bhaj Dhatu, Aishwarya. So Aishwarya Samagrasya, Shad Aishwarya Samagrasya, Parashar Muni gives a definition. So again, one who possesses all the Aishwarya, and Bhakta is to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan Krishna says to Uddhava also. Now people hate me when I triangulate things, but I'm just trying to take out common objects from everywhere. 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam says Mad Bhaktya Pujya Bhitika. Worship my devotee. And again, triangulating again, sorry for all the audiences who hate me for that. Krishna goes to Vitthal, which is Sholapur today, Pandharpur, and then he actually wants to see the bhakta of his parents. A devotee, parents are devotees, not the Pundrik. Pundrik is just a seva. So he comes to see Pundrik, not the parents. And then again he exemplifies the importance of bhakta. So now Narad Muni is referred by Vishnu as Bhakta Shiromani. It's the title given by Vishnu, not by ordinary people. So now we see the Shastric examples all over the place. And so now, how can people make bhakta as a wrong word? Like I have to write the title of this video is Bhakta is not a curse word. Okay, what do you have to say?
Very rightly said, and very it is very important to understand what kind of characters, what kind of ideals we are chasing. But it's now clear that Bhakt is something which helps us to get personified, which improves our character, which builds us, which makes us powerful spiritually. The idea is more or less clear through this chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, or otherwise also. Now the important is whom shall we worship? Because worship is part of Bhakti. See again, worship in Dharma and worship in religion are two different things. Worship in Dharma is again yoga. That is what Bhakti Yoga is. Worship in religion is surrendering. These are two different aspects altogether. So when we say becoming one, so we must choose very carefully becoming one with whom. So when a person is Bhakt of Hanuman, he is becoming one with Hanuman, he is a Pahalwan. No? So when a person is becoming one with Ganesh, he is Buddhiman. When a person is becoming one with Lakshmi, he is a rich person. So whom you choose to become one with, whom you choose to practice this yoga, Bhakti Yoga, is very important. This is what this new world has tried to conceptualize as standards in their organization in material achievements. We have applied this standardization in human achievement, human qualitative achievements. And hence we know the whole history of Sri Rama, from birth to the end, what all he did and what all characteristics, why he was great and why we should worship or become one with him, so that we try to become one, to become like it. We attempt to become like it. And that is why the society becomes great, because you choose ideals and then you try to do yoga with that ideal, bhakti yoga with that ideal, and you become one. Today, people have lost this track. They do not know whom they are following, what is their life history, no, whether they have, no, our culture have not given those idealistic positions to people, to common people, or to losers, or to people who have not contributed even to a small village or two villages or three villages, or to people who have contributed in a negative way. Our culture have never given them a place. And more importantly, we have never celebrated the end of those characters. We don't celebrate death anniversaries of those characters. This is a very big cultural difference between Hindu culture and other religions. We always celebrate their birth. No? So it is very important. You gave example of Narad, he Prahlad, Hanuman. You see the character of Hanuman. Now, Hanuman is positioned in all the akhadas. Now, all those people who want to build their body, they have to become a character like Hanuman. No, so this characterization, idealization of all these things are very important standards in our culture for human development. And I think we all should reattempt to re-establish these standards. We have lost that. Our standards have changed. I'm sorry, our standards are these film stars or sometimes these cricketers or whatever is, but these standards are not going to lead us anybody. And there are people who are creating new standards also. I don't like to mention those names, but it's happening. People are being fooled all the way because they have lost these reference to the standards of idealism. Yes, Aditya.
So my last question now in the series. So Bhagavad-Gita is a contextual book. So if you follow Bhagavad-Gita, and then it's a very intelligent conversation. Arjun, Krishna, Dhritarashtra, Sanjay, 4 people speaking. And the first question is Dhritarashtra, the last answer is Sanjay. In between the conversation is there. And very systematically, each adhyaya presents one information with a conclusion. So now, so we are looking at a very intelligent, experiential, conversation. Experiential means it's scientific because you can experience it. Now, you will not find that in any other book of the planet, including great American poets, and Mark Twain is one of my favorites. American Mark Twain glorifies it as the only book of spirituality. He said, if you want to bathe your intellect in something grander than a human experience, and that is Bhagavad-Gita. I'm not exactly phrasing it, but I'm paraphrasing it. This is exactly what he meant in that line. Now, when it comes to India, that glorification was done by Mahatma Gandhi. Now, Mark Twain has an impeccable character. Mark Twain never gave up on his ideas. And he was not a politician. He's a poet. And he's respected not so much in American space right now, because most of the kids are not aware of him. People use him for their exercises or homework, quoting from website and pasting it somewhere. And most of the websites, they are modified versions of what he exactly said. The churches, they regularly remove Bhagavad-Gita part of his. Bhagavad-Gita, they regularly remove. But they quote him because without him, they have no credibility. In Indian context, there is a translation authored or authorized by Mahatma Gandhi, which exactly goes against the Gita press you quoted. And, exactly opposite. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan's translation looks like Max Muller dictated it. Now, when such kind of the home of Bhagavad Gita, and this is what the political leaders, they promote, what do you have to say on that? We'll end the discussion on Bhakta and Bhakti Yoga.
I mentioned very clearly, Aditya, that we must not refer to many of these written or translated or these kind of books, but our Gita Press has done a very fantastic job. They have mentioned word by word Sanskrit words have been explained over there, and if you want to go in details, they have very detailed books also on Bhagavad Gita. So first thing is that we must uh, help Gita Press to emerge as a leading Bhagavad Gita publishing book rather than all other organizations. Because, even though Chinmaya Mission has done a very fantastic work on this thing, many other people have done, but still, Gita has so much potential that none of these works can be considered as complete. And Gita Press has not tried to complete Gita by trying to give a commentary on it. Gita Press has simply, explained it as to the words, and it has helped us to understand Gita on the foundations of our different shastra like Upanishads and Purans and all. So my first request to all the viewers is that you must have one book of Gita Press which elaborates each shlok in its own, word by word, in fact, and refer to that as the most ideal book to understand Bhagavad Gita. Point is that the main point is that second, as you told Aditya, Mahatma Gandhi or Mark Twain or many such people have, they have come and they will go, but Gita, principles of Gita, it comes from centuries of thousands of 5,000 years. It has come and it will remain as one of the most guiding book. I think I have a friend from France. He is a French journalist, Francis Gautier, and he mentions Gita as Bible of mankind, the future Bible of mankind. His prediction is that when all these religious books will fail, people will start looking for one book which will guide them and which will help humanity to re-establish, and then there will be one book in their hand, and that will be Bhagavad Gita, and that book will not be a religious book, that will be a Bible of mankind. That is how he mentioned, I remember. Yes, Aditya.
Yeah, one of my, I have done also translation of Bhagavad Gita using Gita Press, but I used English words for American. It's called the Hindu Bible. Anyway, but thank you so much, Chanchal, and it's always a pleasure to have you. You bring unique insights into these kind of issues, and also you run a school, which your project is also to promote changing the curriculums in India. You would like to say something on that?
Yeah, we are working on trying to create a curriculum which looks like a modern curriculum, but its essence, the knowledge part of it, the culture part of it, is all Vedic in nature. Like the terminologies which I talked about today are being taught to children, along with what other students try to understand, that we are reading science and we are reading geography or social studies or these kind of subjects we are studying. We are studying English through conversation and all. There is different teaching pedagogy in it. We are not. We have removed the concept of timetable and periods, and there is different assessment program where not only learning outcome but observational outcomes for teachers has been introduced, so that children can be understood by teachers, and they can be guided for a better career and skill development and all, but on the foundation of this cultural vocabulary, cultural behaviors and culture and sanskars. So this is what we say as that we are trying to form a modern Gurukul. New era Gurukul is what we are trying to create nowadays. Whoever is interested can join or get transformed their school into a Gurukul of this pattern with our help. Yes, Aditya.
Thank you so much, and thank you all the viewers for watching. Do comment on the video, let us know your feedback. And Chanchalji, when people comment on it, you can send your project links, whatever you have, on the comments also, so people know about your project. And remove, I would only say that remove all fanaticism around Bhakta, because most of the American yogis, they love to call themselves Bhakta. and it's a positive word in USA.
Mhm.
Thanks to organizations like ISKCON and Swami Narayan and other people, they do that work, including
Mhm.
Chinmay Mission is very strong here.
Mhm.
And so they are regularly doing it. And people do not know that ever since the founding of Gita Press, they have distributed 1.2 billion copies of Bhagavad Gita. Billion. And organizations like ISKCON have done more than 700 million copies of Bhagavad Gita globally. So it is a very popular book. And it is in more than 150 languages of the world, 150, including Japanese, including Chinese.
Yeah.
Chinese Communist Party publishes Bhagavad
Mhm.
Gita. Can you
Mhm.
imagine that? Chinese
Mhm.
Communist Party. And I want Vatican to follow it. And also I want, by the way, it's in Arabic also, it's in Urdu also. And
Mhm.
people and Farsi too. Farsi, the Iranian, in the Tehran University, a copy of Bhagavad Gita is sold. Uh, and so that is also available. So including Arabic nations, Urdu speaking people, the Bhagavad Gita is available to them. Chinese, Mongolian, Taiwanese Chinese also available, which is different than Mandarin. So it is available in every language of the world, practically. And the most selling language of Bhagavad Gita today, other than English and Hindi, is Spanish. It's being sold like anything. And there are 47 Krishna communities in South America, 47. And that is just in Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. I'm not even talking. The founder was on our show a couple of months back. He's going to come back again. So it is a very popular book, and it is more popular than the Bible, despite Hindus not being united. Bible has one organization to promote it, and they give it
Mhm.
free. Uh,
Mhm.
but Bhagavad Gita is sold. People pay money for it. Still, it is the most
Mhm.
popular selling book. So
Mhm.
anyway, people can make use of it. And thank you for joining, and thank you, Chanchal, for
Thank you.
sharing
Thank you.
this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.